Welcome to SOFI Wednesday. Today we're going to talk about the daily chart and the weekly chart. For SOFI, we're going to look at the long dated and short dated options on this one. We'll talk a little bit about my price targets, my ads and trims, what I'm going to do long term with it. And also we'll touch on a little bit of SOFI news that's out recently and a quick look at the general market overview. So that'll be the economic data yesterday and what's coming out today. Okay, so straight into SOFI's chart. We've had what I would consider quite a parabolic move for such a stock. So from the low here, we peaked at a 176% return. So we've made a very good return on this in a very short space of time. I've managed to get rid of all of my legacy positions, which I had from down here. They were fairly small. My portfolio grew so much that some of my positions became too small for new copyists to take advantage of if they had a small amount of capital they wanted to invest in copy trading. So I've had to replace those with some bigger ones that I've started adding around here. So that's why if you look in my portfolio, you'll see a lot of my positions are fairly new. All that means is I just rolled them into a larger one. Unfortunately, on eToro, a lot of broker sites, when you add shares, it just rolls it into one, but eToro doesn't do that. It always keeps them as separate ones, which is a bit annoying. Price action, though, we've hit our head lovely on this fib level. Excellent. I love that we're pulling back down here. I would actually really like for it to pull down a bit more. But Chrysler Points fireside chat was phenomenal. It's actually made me even more bullish and made me want to buy more shares. Now I'm really hoping for a pullback and kind of regretting what I trimmed out here. But we win some, we lose some. I don't want to trim anymore. I actually want to add to this one. We do have this bearish divergence coming here. So a lot of the technicals on this one say it's exhausted and it should pull back, but the fundamentals on this one are just, really ramping up. So I don't know if we will, but I really want it to. So I'm going to free up some cash just in case. Downside support, we just talked about that kind of 1458 level. That would be a great level for it to pull back and bounce on. We've got the Fibonacci and the peak here. That would be my preferred area of pullback, which would be from the top 18% pullback. I think that's too much, though. I don't think we're going to get that. It's absolutely crushing it. If we do break higher, though, we start to hit a bit of an air gap. I'll pull my charts down a little bit here. You can see we start getting up to 31.20. So, the longer it takes us to break this Fibonacci here at kind of 17, the better. We'll be able to get to that next level pretty easy. But we'll take a look at the options market. We'll see what the big boys are thinking on this one. And we're probably going to see the prices have moved up quite substantially. But I haven't checked, so I could be wrong. On the weekly, again, a pullback here would be a really nice big cup and handle. We talked about that before. But other than that, it just looks so beautiful. RSI is a little bit overheated, but it might not need to cool off. But look at all these green bars on the weekly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 with the little break in the middle that really did nothing for that week. So, if we do the same here again and we pop off another one, that would be very impressive. It would line us up with this historical high. I really should have a trend line really there. So that would be a place for price to pause there as well if it needed a little rest. So overall, super bullish on this one, and we'll talk about more in the news section. I just realised I forgot to talk about my fair valuation, what are the number that I'm willing to pay up to for this one. So for Q1, I moved the price up to $21. That's for early next year. That's mainly, I'm starting to get really bullish on this one, and I think I'm probably going to have to end up raising that price target quite aggressively when they do announce the bank they're working with on the tech stack, because I think it's going to be an amazing deal, and I think there's going to be a bunch of deals coming out in very quick succession. We'll talk about that in a bit, though. But looking at options, that is a very tight range for the market makers to move with. So $16, that would keep price suppressed there as well. We can see we did close under that. So market makers are going to want to keep that there for a while, so we need something good to push us out of that. But I think when we do, we should pop. A lot of people looking at higher price targets on this one. If I drag this down a bit, sort of does line up with what I'm thinking for Q1 price target of $21, so it kind of peaks out at 20 there. So, but I think we're going to see these numbers move up as price moves for the stock. Don't know why it's flashing. Weird. Take those off. Let's push it out a week, see what the market's moving like. So we've got a lot of people interested in some downside action. So $14, if we do see some price slipping, that's going to be really good support there. Market maker's going to buy that one quite aggressively. Honestly, I would love price to get there. It's the perfect spot, really. Another week out. I don't think $9 is happening at all. That seems crazy to me. Not a whole lot of interest at this point. Let's check higher on the chart just in case, but I don't think so. So that's a lot there, but mainly we'll just be chopping, I think, if we don't have a push higher. But let's go early January. Have a quick check. So people seem to be of the expectation that 2025 is going to be better. Certainly, they seem to be looking to capture some Santa Valley on this one to the upside. But most of the interest is still where price is currently being held. So that's not really a surprise. It is going to be a tight range. So I think we should pop quite nicely. January 2026. So a year out, a year and a smidge, shall we say. Not much on the chart. I don't know why sometimes these don't go higher, but all I can tell you is a lot of the leaps have kind of got the $20 banding on them. I mean, that's pretty safe. I think that's in the bag, to be honest. So news-wise, really just a couple of little bits. There is a lot, but I'm quite tight for time today, so I've picked the two most exciting things, I think. So there's kind of the rumor going around with a little bit of confirmation that SOFI is going to allow people to have exposure to SpaceX, which is amazing. And I'm super annoyed that I don't have that level of access. I would love to own some shares in SpaceX, but can't, unfortunately. Other than that, though, Crystal Point did a fireside chat for the Mizuno Technology Conference. So just a quick couple of points I wanted to talk about on there. So one of the questions was, one of your competitors in the tech platform industry talked earlier today about problems from insourcing and time delays. Are you seeing that too? His response, we haven't seen any of that. So that could be a really good indication of, the classic winner takes most. He was also asked how the US consumer is doing, and this was also mentioned in a previous interview, I think, from Anthony Noto earlier in the year when he was on one of the news channels. And he just basically said consumers are extremely strong, deposits are growing, spend is growing, delinquencies are down, defaults are down. That is exactly what I want to hear. A couple of other nice things they talked about. Another quote, in the tech platform, we're feeling really good where we stand with customers. We haven't lost any deals. Pipeline is as robust as it's been. That makes me very happy, as that's one of the major concerns around the stock, is how that tech platform's doing. And this is good. We know that there's some lag and the deals are taking longer than they hoped, but they haven't lost any of those deals. So they're coming. Very excited. Then when asked about the loan platform business, Lapointe said we declined 70 to 80% of applicants. Now that's super high. But then he went on to say, we've now found a way to meet both the demand from a consumer perspective and as capital markets point of view. We're able to originate on behalf of others. So again, this is what we saw with the last deal they announced, where they're going to push it to the back to kind of like a third party, and they're going to, curate the loans. They're going to take the risk on from the loans as well. So super high margin option that they've gone with. He went on to say, I think it's going to be a key driver of growth. Demand from capital market has never been so strong. So if they can end up not declining as many and passing those loans on elsewhere and skimming off the top. That's super bullish as well. Another thing that he said, we've lowered sales and marketing expenses as a percentage of revenue. That's excellent. That'll be from cross-selling. Around 30 to 35% of all products are coming from existing members. So yeah, cross-selling, where we don't have to pay that second customer acquisition cost. So it was a really good interview. Recommend listening to it. Some super good points. If you weren't bullish on SOFI before, you probably will be after that fireside chat. Economic data then for yesterday, we had Red Book year over year. It's actually come up a lot. Let's have a look at that. That's interesting. Increased 7.4%. Sometimes I always get confused with this for. This is a sales weighted year over year same source sales growth. So that's good. But this could also be attributed to time of year. So we need to watch out for seasonality, which is going to start cropping up in some of the numbers. Again, Jolt's job openings looks better than forecast, which could be seasonal. Let's take a look there. See if it mentions anything. Services. I mean, there's a lot of jump in the stuff you would assume is kind of Christmas related and whatnot. IT, maybe not so much. Federal government's going down, which is interesting. Yeah, so it's nice to have a tick up though. We'd like to see that continue. See some strength coming back. Maybe see more of an increase in manufacturing, but I think that's going to come later in the year. Jolt's quits as well, so I think a tick up here. So there's more jobs being added to the market, which also gives people a little bit of comfort being able to quit their jobs and moving around, because normally when you move job you get a bit of a pay rise. So the fact people are feeling a little bit more confident enough to do that is good. More speeches, I didn't listen to those. Total vehicle sales, not that interested in that really. ICE vehicles are data out today. Mortgage data, actually got some already. Mortgage rates come down a little bit. Good to see. Applications down a little bit. Not really surprised. Generally, you wouldn't expect too high of a number over the Christmas period. I don't know if we can go. So it generally dips. If we go 3 year, although it was quite kind of high just before. Oh no, wait, wrong month. So yeah, I mean you'll get a dip over Christmas most of the time. Who wants to look at houses over Christmas? It's a bit of a weird. I mean, I have, and you can get yourself a deal because no one else is looking, but it can be stressful. ADP employment change. We talked about that yesterday. That one's going to be a good one to look at. That data comes from payroll, so it's really hard to manipulate that one with some adjustments. PMI data, we're expecting some uptick, so that'll be interesting. Services data, this one should probably come in okay. I would think that would come in higher than expected. More services data. So again, I think these ones should come in fairly well. Business activity should be picking up this time of year. But it's not something to get overly hyped out about because it can go away in January as well. The Fed chair speech as well. My wife's going on holiday today, so I'm probably not going to be able to listen to that live, but I'll try and catch up after she's gone. And that's it really for today. That's a wrap. I hope you like this. I've been trying to make the videos shorter, more concise, get the information out a little bit faster. Tell me if you like it. Tell me if you don't. But share this regardless and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you tomorrow for tomorrow's update for PayPal.